drastically different than how we sort of apply ours. I mean, we apply ours when you think of like the unit mold, right, and then the cavities and change parts, we generally do that as expense too. Pretty close to the same timeline horizon you're highlighting is like a 3-year payback. So that tends to really drag down your ROI as a whole on the proposition. Mostly, a lot of times we try to fold that into like price piece, and then you're just killing your gross margin. Did you guys ever find like creative ways to do it? Did you ever set up like, hey, as a company, we're going to put $10 million into a bucket that's all for packaging across the company, and we'll prioritize which groups get it, and we won't count that against the project because it drags it down? Like, did you guys ever look at creative ways to think about how to handle the expense of all that?
So we've played with it on a type platform basis to get around or to have the conversations with finance, because they were always looking, well, this is an expense in 3 years. We've tried, and we're making progress on how we think about it as a platform technology. And I'll explain that a little bit. If the item is actually going to be around for a lot longer, it's not a shape thing, it's a core element of platform, or we could slice it in. We were getting smarter about how we designed and built the molds such that you had an agile mold, I'll call it that, where you could change out the cores and cavities within a certain shape profile, and you could move from shape A that you started with and evolve to shape B in 3 or 4 years, and your core mold stayed the same. You use the hot runners, you use the base plates, you use the stripper ring, all the stuff that was a primary part of the cost, 50 to 60% of it, got to stay as a platform technology. And then we got some grace from finance to look at that as, well, that part I can expense out as a capital item over a longer period of time, so your denominator was a bigger number. So you got a smaller allocation per year, which helped the ROI.
Yeah, so
that was one way we looked at it.
You were changing basically your horizon for ROI based on the expense by justifying that this package is not a 3-year package. This is a 5-year, 10-year package, right?
Yes, it's a platform change because we're committing to this as a platform element. So sometimes that works if it's a part that's going to change a lot. But there's a lot of things in everybody's portfolio that when we're honest with each other, we're not going to touch this again for 7 or 8 years. Or even if we do, I'm not going to make a significant change to it because it's just kind of how it is. In which case you can say, okay, I can make it a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller, a little bit, but I'm going to use most of the mold again.
Yeah. You're almost pushing the risk to say, hey, let's really look at the true life value of this. So I can see that working right on close-in product improvements or categories that you really own and define, right? Where you're like, hey, I'm going to change this bottle, but I'm not going to touch it for 10 more years. The category is $500 million. We're not going to lose $500 million with the bottle change. Like, we should depreciate that expense over 10 years, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, look at the ROI.
Bottles tend to be a little bit more fluid, but like a cap mold or something, that tends to sit a little longer.
How about like on the new innovation side, when you're putting something out there where you don't know the bottle's going to stick around because it's a new form, it's a new category, new space, did you guys do anything different there? Did you have any creative tools to think about how do you take risks on innovation? So, I mean, did you look at accepting lower gross margins across the board for new innovation? Like, how did you guys think of that for packaging?
So we've had those conversations. That's tough to say I'm going to accept lower gross margin on the bet that this is actually going to work. That's a tough sell with everybody because everybody has I got to have my profitability limits.
Yeah.
Well, we've had more success. I don't know if the lean startup, Eric Rees, who's more in the tech world, but the concept is start small, gain some momentum, and it works better on ideas where you're not sure it's going to go. So you're going to start small, test the market, see if everybody likes it. We all used to do that about 20 years ago, but then we kind of shifted the energy into, no, we're big launches, we're full scale. It's a better way for being able to grow into the success of a product, see if it works for the consumer.
I'm sorry, so you're talking about